Good afternoon, everybody in the gun listeners, for this special edition ITG. Let's call it the Zach and Beanie update here on In the Gun, a little quick hitter. I am Wes Uhler, of course, one of your hosts of ITG, your new favorite WVU football podcast, and it is Steelers training camp time. And if you have, if you've watched our podcast over the years, if you've listened to it, you know that my primary job, I work for the Steelers radio network. I'm the Steelers broadcast engineer and a host and a producer for the team as well, too. And so I am here on the grounds of St. Vincent College. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see I'm all sweaty. My hair's a mess because it was another hot day out here on the beautiful campus of St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. If you look behind me, again, you're going to want to watch this on YouTube. The famous St. Vincent shrubbery is right here. You got dorm rooms over here, cafeteria, and the parish and everything over here. And of course, football fields behind me as well. That is where the Steelers wrapped up practice number 11 this afternoon. And we got two Mountaineers to talk about. I've been at all 11 practices. I've got my dorm room credential around my neck here. Again, as you've heard me talk about on past shows before, I stay in the dorms. I'm here every day. I've actually had a chance to speak briefly with Zach and Beanie, both in the cafeteria over here last week. So let's talk just for a few minutes about these two guys, what I've seen here, again, through 11 Steelers practices so far in this 2024 training camp. Let's start with giving Beanie his flowers because, Zach's the second-round pick. Zach gets a lot of love, rightfully so. I talk about him, you talk about him, we talk about him all the time. So let's give some love to Beanie first here. We'll start with the defense. I know the offense are the prom kings usually, right? But let's start with the defense. Beanie Bishop, undrafted free agent, right? He's been running with the first team defense here in camp almost exclusively and basically from the first rep of practice. This is my 7th Steelers training camp that I've covered for my job. So that's not a lifetime, but I certainly have a big enough sample size here so far in 7 years. And by far, Beanie Bishop getting the most spin with the first team of any undrafted free agent I've ever seen with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A big part of that, I've got to mention, is Cam Sutton, who was kind of in line to be that guy for Pittsburgh, has an 8-game suspension to start the season. So that opened the door a little bit for somebody like Beanie Bishop, and he has taken advantage of that. He's kicked that door down. The first 4 days of training camp here at St. Vincent College were pad-free, right? So just helmets, just shorts, the acclimation period that the NFL does now. Beanie was running with the first team defense. He was looking the part. He was holding his own. But then last week, the pads go on, right? 6 straight days, the gauntlet stretch here of Steelers training camp in Latrobe. Almost all of those practices in pads, full contact, and Beanie continued to look the part. He had an amazing one-handed interception of Justin Fields on a spin move, and he was able to, what would have been a pick six if it was a live game setting. He had a massive breakup in 7 shots today, which is kind of the Steelers' goal line drill that they run every day in practice. He had a big breakup there of a Justin Fields pass as well, too. He has continued to have the opportunity from the first few days of acclimation period with no pads to now kind of the most intense portion of camp here. And then they have a day off yesterday, Monday. It's Tuesday as I'm recording this, and Beanie had himself another solid practice here today. And of course, obviously the next, I should say, big opportunity for Beanie Bishop is going to come Friday night when the Steelers host the Houston Texans in their first preseason game. And it was announced by the Texans, D'Amico Ryan's head coach heading into his second year there in Houston, that they would be starting CJ Stroud and their first teamers in that game Friday night. So big opportunity for Beanie Bishop against the Texans, against CJ Stroud, against one of the more exciting offenses in the NFL to continue stacking upon what he's done here. Like I said, I got a chance to talk to him for a few minutes in the cafeteria. I was wearing a WVU shirt, so, right away we hit it off and everything. And he's just having fun out here. He's making the most of his camp and the most of his opportunity. And like I said, the earliest I've ever seen an undrafted free agent be this active with the Steelers. So love to see that from Beanie Bishop. And I do wonder, too, for you Mountaineer fans out there, John Rice Plumlee is with the Steelers in camp this year. That, of course, being the former UCF quarterback, John Rice Plumlee, who Beanie Bishop picked off in Orlando last year. John Rice Plumlee. So maybe I'll have to ask Beanie if he's, gotten in Rice Plumlee's ear at all about that one. But so far, so good for Beanie. And like I said, on a fast track to be a starter as an undrafted free agent, something I have not seen in my 7 camps, quite that rapid of a pace coming from Beanie Bishop. Zach Frazier time now as we get into the second half of this ITG quick hitter update. Wes Uhler live at St. Vincent College here, where the Steelers hold their training camp every year in Latrobe. 11 practices in the books. And it's been a little bit of a rookie roller coaster for Zach Frazier, as it typically is for offensive linemen. But I tell you what, today here, Tuesday, practice 11, I thought was his finest work so far. He actually, in an 11-11 drill, pulled and pancaked Beanie Bishop, and they both got up laughing. So that was a funny WVU on WVU crime moment today here in practice. But what we've seen from Zach is everyday improvement. You know, his first couple days here, couple issues with a couple snaps. Not his best showing in some one-on-one drills. But I also think there's caveats in that too. They are testing these guys early. And in terms of one-on-ones, there's context that is important in this. A one-on-one drills for center, and if you're watching on YouTube here, I'll demonstrate for you. You're snapping the ball and you're going one-on-one against a guy in live action. That defender who is lined up on Zach Frazier, he doesn't have to watch a quarterback. He doesn't have to see if it's run, see if it's pass. He doesn't have to read the play. All he's doing is trying to get past Zach. And Zach still has to snap the ball and get up and do everything one hand with that first punch like a center typically would. So it's a drill that's designed to put the defense kind of in a leg up and a little bit of an advantage, if you will. So if you've heard about some of those maybe struggles that Zach had the first few days in one-on-ones, I think that's fair, but also with the caveat of everything I just told you. The defense has nothing to read. They're just bull rushing, while Zach is still snapping a football. He did have, I would say today, the most reps with the first team offensive line that he's had all throughout camp. That was encouraging to see. Nate Herbig has been the Steelers' first team center so far through this portion of camp. Nate is a 6-year NFL veteran, doesn't have a ton of starting experience, and isn't a real center. You know, he's more of an interior offensive lineman, more of a guard who can moonlight as a center if you need him to. He's a veteran. He's been running with the ones, and he's been doing all right. But I do think eventually Zach is ascending, and we started to really see that here today, like I said, where he got the most spin with the number ones so far. And that is, too, to kind of peel the curtain back for everybody, because probably a small percentage of you listening to this are Steelers fans. Of course, plenty of WVU fans are, but a lot of you are not. It's very common for the Steelers, right? Last year, the Steelers drafted Broderick Jones 14th overall, Joey Porter Jr. 32nd overall, and neither of those guys started at the beginning of the year. This year, Troy Fautanu, 20th pick overall. He just really started getting reps with the first team today. Zach Frazier, second round, 51st pick overall. Don't panic, basically, is what I'm saying. If you see Zach continuing to run with the second team, if the season gets here in September and Zach's not the starter right away, don't panic. That is the Steeler way. That is what they do. It's very rare that rookies start for the Steelers. Broderick Jones had to wait his time last year as the 14th overall pick. Joey Porter Jr. had to wait his time last year as the 32nd overall pick. So safe to say that some rookie offensive linemen are going to have to earn their stripes, you know, from Mike Tomlin, from Pat Meyer, the Steelers offensive line coach, before they kind of get the reins, if you will, especially for Zach when you're the center and you're not just the anchor of the offensive line. You got to kind of be the brain and the voice of the offensive line as well, too. But I tell you what, again, 11-on-11 period today. Zach Frazier looked the part. He's been nasty. He's been physical. He's had multiple pancake blocks, not just on his former teammate, Beanie Bishop, of course, but on some other guys as well, too. Peyton Wilson, the rookie linebacker out of NC State. Logan Lee, the rookie defensive lineman out of Iowa. A guy like DeMarvin Leal, third man out of Texas A&M, felt the brunt of Zach Frazier over the weekend. Like I said, they had him pulling today in practice, and he had a couple pancakes. So starting to be able to see some of his ability to get to the second level flash, but that nastiness, that tenacity, that physicality, always there for Zach Frazier, and we know that. So as I wrap this up, maybe final context too, you know, you're thinking, all right, Zach was the second round pick, and he's still running with the second team, and you know, Beanie Bishop was an undrafted guy. He looks in line to start. context is always important here. So the Steelers defense for Beanie Bishop, same defensive coordinator, same scheme, a veteran-laden defense with Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, guys that have been in this league multiple-time All-Pros and Pro Bowlers and future Hall of Famers, as opposed to the Steelers offense, which is running a new system under a new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, with a brand new quarterback room in Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, and John Rice Plumlee. None of those guys were with the Steelers last year. So I do think, I've had some questions about that for some of my friends and family, like, hey, Beanie's running with the ones real quick. What's going on with Zach? The context there certainly matters. It's an offense that is inexperienced, new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks, new system, and so they want some of those rare veteran guys that they have, like a 6-year offensive lineman in Nate Herbig. Whereas for the defense, it's the same scheme, it's the same defensive coordinator, it's the same veteran group. You're more willing to insert a young guy in there like Beanie Bishop and maybe let him take his lumps on the fly. Whereas for Zach Frazier, you can't have those lumps at all with such a young, inexperienced offense that's trying to get on the same page. So I thought that was important context to add as well, too. Final prediction for you here as I wrap this thing up. I do think Beanie Bishop will be a Week 1 starter for the Pitts. I'm laughing and smiling as I say this because I would have never guessed this was going to be the case a couple weeks ago. But I do think Beanie Bishop will be your Week 1 starter when the Steelers open the season in Atlanta. 1 p.m. game there down in Atlanta, Georgia at the magnificent Mercedes-Benz Stadium, one of my favorite arenas, one of my favorite stadiums in the National Football League. I do think Beanie Bishop starts Week 1. Zach Frazier, though, is going to have to bide his time, as the Steelers often do with their high pedigree draft picks. Again, saw it from Broderick Jones last year, saw it from Joey Porter Jr. as well, too. Those guys had to wait. I don't think Beanie Bishop's going to have to wait very long, but I do think Zach is going to, again, just with the nature of so many moving parts on a young offense, having a guy like Nate Herbig, who is not a true center, and eventually that will mean more for Zach, but having a veteran like Nate Herbig, 6-year guy in the middle of that offensive line, while you're trying to work Faltanu in, while you're trying to move Broderick Jones to left tackle, it's a lot of moving parts for the Steelers' offensive line. But we will see Zach Frazier. Here's the prediction. Steelers bye week is Halloween, okay? Week 9 is the Steelers bye week. By then, Zach Frazier is your starting Pittsburgh Steelers center. So there it is, your ITG quick hitter, although I went on for almost 15 minutes here, so I don't know how much of a quick hitter this was for you for a Zach Frazier and Beanie Bishop update from Pittsburgh's foremost Mountaineer, baby. Oh, you see me stepping back into campus here. It really is beautiful. I mean, other than Morgantown, this is like my favorite college campus in the world. It's small, it's intimate, but it's so gorgeous, and there's just football history all over this place. I've enjoyed watching Zach and Beanie every day. I enjoyed watching the Zach on Beanie, the WVU on WVU crime here today. Although I hope Beanie's okay. I mean, all right, Zach, don't pick on the little guy. And it was funny too. After that rep, after Zach Frazier pulled around and caught Beanie off the edge clean and pancaked him, Mike Tomlin looked at Beanie Bishop and said, "Beanie, that's called getting thrown out of the club."
I don't think a lot about the things that I say, to be honest with you.
Which are those rookie moments that they all have out here during training camp. It's why I love it, and especially with a WVU. I had to go through talking about Kenny Pickett every day for the last 2 years. I deserve this, having a WVU rookie on the offensive side of the ball, WVU rookie on the defensive side of the ball, both making great strides, both, I think, going to be key contributors on different timelines for the Pittsburgh Steelers as this season rolls along. So that will do it for your Zach and Beanie update from the beautiful campus of St. Vincent College, live in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. I'm Wes Uhler, and you are in the gun.
This mission is over. It's over.